AAM, I think my assistant would be better at my job than I am, concluded. I am not the op. This is a repost sub. First letter. The 6th of July 2021. I am the director for a semi-independent branch office. About 100 people. Of a larger company. It's a pretty traditional, conservative company, and it believes in promoting from within. And many people here stay many years. I've been here 15 years. I was promoted to run this department 3 years ago. I was younger than all the other candidates but one. Fergus was the only other one my age. More on him in a minute. When I got the job, it was over several people older than me. All men, with longer service, who also applied for the promotion. This also meant I was now supervising people who had been senior to me, including Marvin, my former direct supervisor. I believe the C-suite thought they were being very bold and daring selecting me, the youngest candidate and the first woman to hold my position. They had a vague sense they wanted change, but I'm not sure they knew what that looked like. And I'm pretty sure I was selected over Fergus because he had a reputation of being difficult and a complainer and had butted heads with Marvin particularly. Marvin had been bad-mouthing Fergus to the C-suite for years. I'm pretty diplomatic and get along with people. When I first got into the position, I realized things were even worse than I thought. I'd always known that Marvin, my former supervisor, was ineffective, but now I realized he was actively harmful. I had been protected from some of his power games because I was on his good list. Fergus, naturally, was on the bad list. It took a year, but I documented everything and finally was able to let him go. Yes, I had to fire my former boss. Fun. That left Marvin's position, assistant director, open. I decided I wanted to promote Fergus. The C-suite told me they thought it was understood that I'd hire someone more seasoned for the position. They also told me he was difficult and a complainer. But I was convinced that Fergus's complaints were legitimate rather than just being the product of a bad attitude. Though I certainly noticed that he was terrible at managing up, I also noticed he was excellent at managing down. His staff loved him. I had a hunch that if he were in a position to do something about the things he complained about, he would. I finally prevailed on the C-suite for the right to appoint my own next in command, which all previous directors had been allowed to do. Guess why I was different? But when I offered Fergus the position, he initially turned it down. Then he called me back and asked me why I'd offered it to him. I listed all his many accomplishments and what I thought he'd bring to the position. And he told me it was the first time he'd been given specific, positive feedback like that in 10 years. He accepted the position. And Allison, I was right. In the 2 years he's held the position, he has justified my faith in him 1000%. The first year we were both busy doing things we both thought were long overdue. And it was so nice having him at my side instead of Marvin. But the second year, and now going forward, it wasn't quite so obvious what the next steps should be. When Fergus realized I would listen to him, he came to me with more and more ideas. And I quickly realized his ideas were, frankly, better than mine. He asked for the opportunity to lead a project and to pick his team and do it how he saw fit. And he knocked it out of the park. He even gets along better with the C-suite now. And vice versa. Because he has me to vent to. Then he can be more diplomatic when he talks to them. Fergus is not perfect. Certainly. He needs to be prodded on deadlines. He can make excuses for younger staff who he sees himself in. Complainers. And he still hates the political stuff. Talking to executive and other industry bigwigs whose egos tend to need stroking. I'm happy to do that. I know it's one of my skill sets. To sweet-talk people who are prickly or have big egos. When I started, I was able to see some of the big problems in our department and address them. But now that these are mostly done, I feel like I don't have the vision Fergus does. His ideas are just better. I feel like going forward, my role will be mostly giving the green light to Fergus and smoothing the way. So, honestly, I think if the C-suite knew then what they know now, they would have hired him, not me. Or they should have. After the success of that first project, which led to more revenue for our department, Fergus came to me and asked me for a raise. I was able to advocate and secure one for him, even though the company usually doesn't do that, and I was happy that our salaries would be closer. But then they turned around and gave me one too. Not as big, but still sizable. I know I do things. I recognize what I can do. But I honestly feel like I don't deserve to make 25% more than he does and have a better title. He's got the vision, the ability to execute that vision, the eye for talent in younger staff, and he's high energy to the point of kinda being a workaholic sometimes. Am I crazy to feel like he should be doing my job? Allison's advice is at the same post. Second letter. November 29, 2021. It's been about 5 months since I wrote my letter, and I've been on quite a mental journey since then. I did respond a little in the comments, and I wish I could have responded more. The outpouring of support was not what I expected. It was wonderful but overwhelming. To be very honest, though, as nice as it was to read, I found myself discounting your response and the responses of the commentariat. I thought maybe I hadn't explained myself well enough, and your response was based on a fundamental misread of the situation. The first thing I did was have a heart-to-heart with Fergus about how he felt about his role. He told me frankly that he thought he wanted my job for a while, and was on the verge of resigning when I offered him the promotion. Now that he's seen it up close, though, he has realized he doesn't want to do what I do. He said he loves coming up with ideas, bouncing them off me to sort out which ones to pursue, and then figure out how to make them happen together. He said, I do my thing while you manage the children. The C-suite. We also discussed his career goals and ambitions, and he said he doesn't want to leave as long as he still feels like there's work to be done here. He thinks we make a good team and he doesn't want to work for someone else. Then, he said something that really made me think. He said when I offered him the job, I told him, I want to give you the opportunity to be part of the solution. He said that was what made the difference, made him decide to stay. He said it changed his attitude about how to look at problems. And he uses it himself with his own reports. I thought, well, maybe Allison wasn't crazy with what she said about my management abilities. I went back and reread my letter and your response and the comments, and I tried to really hear what you were saying. A lot of the commenters mentioned imposter syndrome. I think I knew I had that, but also thought, doesn't everyone? For me, the more pernicious aspect of my imposter syndrome is I thought I was promoted not just because I'm a woman, but just because I'm likable. If it was really based on merit, not personality, I reasoned, they should have picked Fergus. When I expressed that in the comments, one commenter challenged me to analyze what being likable means in a work context. I did that, and I realized that people like me because I listen. I genuinely like other people. I'm diplomatic. I don't lose my temper. I don't have a big ego. And I want people to succeed. I've also realized since then that I have good judgment and I'm not afraid to make hard decisions. Seeing myself more clearly has helped me be better at my job. I see now that my self-doubt was interfering with my growth as a manager. Constantly thinking about what I thought I should be doing. Coming up with Fergus-style big ideas. And feeling bad that I wasn't. Made me miss opportunities to do what I'm best at. The phrase, servant leader, was mentioned in the comments. And that really resonated with me. I've decided to lean into that. and value my approach as something not many people can do. It's all still a work in progress, but it's made all the difference in my confidence level. I'll be forever grateful to you, Allison. And to all the commenters. I feel like a weight has been lifted. And I really mean that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. A happy update, and refreshing to read a story where management seems to be backing up op. This was really wonderful to read. I love is so frustrated in the original post and at the beginning of the update how she truly didn't see her own value. But I'm so glad she was finally able to. Diplomacy is a hugely valuable skill, as are those other aspects of being likable, and it's good to see their value actually recognized. She is perfect upper management material. Some people just aren't made for management. It's great that she saw Fergus' potential and that Fergus saw his deficits. It's amazing that they both could see that their 1-2 combo could help the company the best. Now that he's seen it up close, though, he has realized he doesn't want to do what I do. That's what I was thinking reading the first half. That it doesn't sound like he would enjoy the job she has. Thanks for this. What a great update. And a great example of how soft skills that are typically seen as femme and thus dismissed. Diplomacy, people managing skills. Fergus literally calls it minding the children, are in fact skills, and incredibly valuable, especially in management positions. Love that the op has recognized this and hope she is fostering this in herself and others like her. Fergus doesn't want her job and probably wouldn't be as good at it as she is. Managing C-level is its own skill set that 98% of people will never have. She's selling herself short. She has an incredible rare skill. It's because she is so good at being diplomatic that he was able to get so much done. A lot of people these days think that managers are not needed and are just the root of corporate evil. And those people think that management is easy and can be done by anyone, so why should someone be promoted to that? Granted, there are bad managers as in every part of society. But good managers with soft skills are very difficult to replace. And you only see how good they are when you don't have them in your org anymore. Diplomacy is such an underrated aspect of management. Management is hard and complicated in a different kind of way. Op is clearly cut out for leadership. Happy for her. She sounds like the best manager I could imagine, honestly. This is pure imposter syndrome, and as someone who feels that every day, it warms my heart to see she has seen how good she is at her job. I was reading her post and how she approached managing Fergus, implementing change, paving the way for good ideas with the executives, and was thinking that I'd love to work for her. She sounds perfect for her role. Glad she eventually realizes how valuable those skills are. If only we had more managers like that to effect positive change in workplaces. Op is clearly a leader with amazing management capabilities. If you have worked with Fergus types, you know that whether they know it or not, they perform best in senior technical roles where they can bring their substantive ideas to life, while someone else herds the sheep and goes to the luncheons. Can't imagine a better setup than this. I'm also glad Oop knows her value now. It is not easy to sell executives on ideas that aren't theirs or on things they don't think they need. That's a major skill. It's so nice to read about healthy people working well together, smiling face with hearts. From the first paragraph, it was very clear she is a better manager. A good one trusts, nurtures, listens, delegates and evaluates all options provided by their employees. She did everything. I think the owners put their faith into the right one. It is not easy to find them. What a great update to read. I get the feeling that women have more chance on having imposter syndrome. I know I do, and it's really something that holds me back in life. A lot of the commenters mentioned imposter syndrome. I think I knew I had that. But also thought, doesn't everyone? This is how it seems if you have to deal with it. But the reverse exists in equal measure. People who are not capable, but believe they are. The DK crew. I am totally a Fergus, and luckily have had this boss a few times. Diplomacy, delegating, and managing are hard skills to develop. I'm glad Op finally saw how much worth she has. I'm always suspicious when there's a sweet BORU post like she neglected to mention that she was working for Al-Qaeda or something. This is wholesome. A nice surprise.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.